Welcome to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by Haven, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Haven Hubcast. I am your host, Nancy Sheed, and I am here with Clovia McIntosh. She is the founder of IRL Innovations. Clovia and I are going to be talking about literally an entrepreneur's life and a startup life. Clovia, welcome.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Clovia, first I learned about you, or maybe even met you, was at a Haven Hatch competition. And most listeners now at this point are familiar with our Haven Hatch, which is kind of a friendly Shark Tank. We're going to talk about the product you are pitching. But before we get to in real life innovations and your startup project that you're working on, did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Can you share with our listeners a little bit about your journey?
It's funny because, so to graduate with your undergraduate degree at the University of Bridgeport, you actually have to develop a business idea, and it couldn't be a barbershop, hair salon, or a restaurant. So I think that was my first kick at the entrepreneurial experience. And yeah, it started from there. And that was in 2011.
Amazing. And so but we always ask people, as a kid, were you building things and selling things, or were you thinking about how to make money? Or was this really like an aha moment for you at college?
Yeah, I definitely think more the latter, because I can barely put batteries in a remote. I am not that person.
So you weren't taking apart transistor radios or things like, how can I make this better? Okay.
Absolutely not.
Awesome. And was this a requirement at your school for all business degrees, or literally for every single person that they just sort of had to know how to be an entrepreneur or think about business and have some literacy in the business world?
That's actually a great question. I'm not sure if it was just something that my professor decided to do in that class, but I knew that I had to do that. I'm not sure if that's part of the curriculum, but we should definitely explore that, because that really did make me see, think of a problem and how to fix it.
I love that. So continuing upon, that journey in college, is your business now and the product you're working on now, was that your college product, or are we 8 gyrations later of you as an entrepreneur?
Literally the latter again. I initially, after I graduated my degree in business, I ended up going in the banking industry for 5 years. Obviously, you can imagine that was not very creative. And something about being a creative person, when I was younger, I used to do music and poetry. I feel like that those type of things stays inside of you. But my family was like, you're going to get this degree, you're going to get a job. You know how that goes. And I did that. And after 5 years, I decided to try something new. And I called my sister, and she was like, you've always, went by the books. You went to high school, you went to college, you're on the dean's list, you went straight to working. She's like, live a little. And I literally did just that. I traveled, lived in Atlanta, I did social working, I did teaching, I did a little bit of everything.
I love that. And so, okay, I love that you broke the rules a little, or probably made your parents crazy.
Right.
But you're talking to a marketing person who was supposed to have gotten her CPA as an accountant. So,
wow.
Yeah, exactly. Go with your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Then talk us through, so you did your training, so you're getting it sounds like you're getting a lot of input from all of these experiences that you were having.
Mm-hmm.
What was the aha moment for you to sort of come back and kind of focus on building a business yourself?
Yeah, so I was bathing my nephew, Alex. So this same sister of mine, her name is Kia. She's 3 years older. I was bathing her son, Alex, and he was about 10 months, almost a year. And he slipped in a bathtub. And I was like, he's already outgrown his infant-sized tub, but he's yet still too small for a full-size bathtub. And this was Alex is 9 now, and he's still super rambunctious. He has got the most athletic in school, right? So you can tell what I was working with. And I realized that I couldn't find anything that served as an in-between tub. And I kind of toyed with the idea a little bit, but then I decided, one of my family members, I call that expensive university that you went to and make them help you figure out how to do this, right? So I called, initially I reached out to my professor, Elena Cahill, who I didn't know at the time had started a student entrepreneur center. This is in 2017. She had started one where they're essentially helping students and alumni essentially incubate their ideas. And I told her I had this idea. At this time, I was trying to make a pancake batter maker. And she was like, yeah, re-enroll. And she was like, just join as an alumni. And that's when I started going to their weekly lunch and learns and started learning more about the business aspect of it and forming like an LLC or a corporation, et cetera. And every week they had mentors. And that's what kind of really guided me. And then I shared the bathtub idea and everyone loved it. And I decided I was just going to go full speed ahead with that product.
Okay. So that was the catalyst for your product called Tubee, Tubee, right?
Yep.
And that is the product that I got to see you pitch at the Haven Hatch. So I love how the story is unfolding. So you kind of land that Tubee is going to be this is your product, this is your startup, this is what you're going to work on. But as we've talked about, it's very different to launch a company that's based on services or on food or, on, different things. So an actual product-based startup has a journey, so to speak, right? Like there's prototyping and there's fundraising, there's capital. Can you tell us what that journey looked like for you at the point of being at the Center for Entrepreneurship? Like, did you literally have to build one yourself? How does that all come about? And is it a matter of planning first, building second, building first, planning second? I'm very curious.
I definitely think it would have been better if I planned first and then built second. But I did the opposite. So you can only imagine. Essentially, I went to Make Haven. I live right by Yale, so I'm very connected to a lot of the resources here. I went to Make Haven, and the executive director there, J.R. Logan, I'm like, listen, I have this idea. I don't know how I'm going to bring it to life. And we found a basket on Amazon, and that's how we got our initial concept. And then we posted an ad on Slack that we're looking for an engineer. And the engineer's name, ironically, was Alex. So I was like, this is a universe aligning everything because my nephew's name is Alex. And then we did our first CAD. And this is where it started getting sticky in the state of Connecticut because manufacturing, like you say, it's a difficult process. And what I'm learning now is that manufacturing anything outside of the palm of your hands is very expensive, requires a very expensive tooling because of the size. So yeah, that's how that started. I didn't know how far you want me to go into that.
No, listen. Well, I was going to say, so first of all, you said CAD. So for people who aren't familiar with what CAD is, right? That is a computer design software where you kind of took a physical product that you were figuring out how to make it work and then maybe designing it into a program that would then feed it to some sort of manufacturing system, right? Like that's what that looked like.
Exactly.
And so I'm just asking totally curiously, you have the designer, you have the design. How do you get your first prototype, right? Like, how do you get it? How do you test it? Alex probably getting bigger at this point.
Yes, I was like flying, okay?
Right.
Yeah, so we ordered this basket off of Amazon and we started cutting it up and spray painting it. And I actually have a picture of that basket. You paint anything blue or pink, it works, okay? So it was actually like a laptop carrying case or something.
That is hilarious. And so was the University of Bridgeport was this program helpful to you in terms of how do you suddenly start navigating, as you said, into the planning phase?
Exactly. So this is where UB came in. So Make Haven is more like a maker space and they help you with a lot of hands-on things. And University of Bridgeport helped me with the back end thing, such as patents. The funny thing is I had a friend who designed like a lollipop that helps dispense medicine for children, but he's a industrial engineer, right? Once he found out about the logistics of it, he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. He did not want to do patents, trademark. He was like, I'm not a business student. I'm a creative and this is killing me.
What a great idea.
The idea. I know. So it's a journey. And it's funny because when I was graduating in May of this year, and I was like GPA like 3.9, Student Entrepreneur of the Year. And I was having all of these moments and I couldn't even enjoy it because I was in this, I don't want to call it a bad manufacturing contract, but essentially I was. And it has taken such a toll, like emotionally, you really need thick skin if you want to call it that. And this, oh my God, what's his name? I have to find his name, but essentially this guy told me that there's this thing called adversity quotient. And just imagine, there's EQ, IQ, and now this is called AQ, basically how much mess you could put up with before you break. And he was like, you have a high one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I have learned, that is my new term for the day. Adversity quotient.
Quotient. Yeah.
I'm going to look that one up and I'm going to share that with people because I think a lot of us have that. I'm sorry that you weren't able to enjoy the positives because you were dealing with real life solutions, right?
Yes.
Like real life problems.
Yes.
And I want to also clarify, you were saying make haven because of course I thought you were talking about haven hatch. And I was like, like these are two different things. So make haven, because we'll put that on the link, was the maker space.
Yes.
So I feel like you're being very clear about not every one place can help you with every part of your journey, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah, I wanted to give a shout out. It was Pete Senna. That was he runs I did his marketing course and that was something. Yeah. Yes. So.
Okay. And congratulations on all of your accolades and this was with your MBA, is that correct?
Yes,
or was this with your, okay. I wanted to clarify. I was like, she went to undergrad, you went and had all this great fun and then came back, we're getting serious, doing your MBA while building a business.
Yes.
I had to take a little breath there. That's a lot, Clovia.
You should see my family. They just look at me like, this girl's crazy.
That is awesome. So at what point, Clovia, so you have it, you sort of have your product, you're in manufacturing, there's capital that's needed. When did you start sort of getting involved in these pitch competitions where you realized you had to sort of talk about financials and financial planning and capital startup? At what part did that, I mean, I know you probably knew that always had to happen, but at what point did that have to become a priority in your business planning?
So initially my first pitch competition, ironically, was Make Haven, but I lost a lot before I actually won one. Once again, that whole AQ thing, right? Where I didn't quit. And I don't know if that comes from, I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. So I don't know, sometimes I feel like there's something to be said when you come from a big family, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And by lost, we would say you didn't win. But I feel like even watching the Haven Hatch, and I don't know the other pitch competitions, is you're still getting to practice your pitch. You still get interesting questions, right? And you still learn what people are interested in. So I'm sorry you felt like you lost, but I think, like it was probably practice building up for your Haven, for coming to other events. What other insights did you get at that adversity time when you sort of weren't winning?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. I don't know. I guess that whole just keep going, as corny as that sounds, and having a good support system, whomever that may be. And I just kept pitching. And like you said, I was learning so much along the way. So when I won my first one for like $500, I was like, I can do this. And it kind of, there's the book called The Alchemist, where essentially, I don't know if you've read it, but it's one of the most translated books of all time. So very easy read. But essentially, the more you run towards something is the more the universe brings it towards you. So I just kept going with that mindset. If I keep going, right, the more you knock on the doors, the more they'll open. And I just kept pushing. And after that, kind of hit like a little winning streak. And I just like either third, second, first, and all of those monies, collecting those funds were the best because they're non-dilutive. So you still maintain all of your equity. And this is where University of Bridgeport helped with these back end things, right? And essentially learning that I need a trademark, learning that I need a patent. And they covered all of those costs, provided me with mentors, weekly sessions, pitch practicing. It was such a good resource, especially from my community. This isn't something you see people do every day. So I was literally walking essentially blind.
I'm so glad you mentioned that in terms of everybody also assumes like there's no support out there and you have to pay for everything. And there are, like, as I've been learning and talking to a lot of, just learning through the connections at Haven, that there are some wonderful resources out there. It's just getting the word out about them and having people understand what they're there for. At what point, Clovia, did pitching go from pitching just to tell people about your business to pitching and actually looking for investors? Or were you able, if you don't mind me asking, were you able to self-fund, or did you have to actually get an initial dose of capital to get started for your first, like you said, manufacturing run?
So essentially, I self-funded most of the beginning, and then I received a grant from like my university. And then I pitched a lot and won some money there, applied for grants throughout the New Haven area as well. So that did help fund a lot of it. And we're actually going into our first manufacturing run within the next couple months. So we are going to be doing a pre-seed round. And that, I'm not going to lie, girl, I'm a little nervous because this VC world is a beast. And then believe it or not, like women only get 2% of venture capital funding too. And then you throw the other, things on top of it, right? Like being a Black woman is 0.02. But luckily, I have a good network. I have a lot of people who are interested. And it's just ensuring that I have the right terms. And they said it's like a marriage. And I'm not married. So I can imagine how difficult that is.
You're like, this might be good practice.
Yeah, right. So this is scary, because Tubee's like my baby. And I literally like drive around with it in my car. And trying to choose the right people is going to be essential.
And I think also it's one thing to pitch your company and your business, but the next part is like, okay, you might like the idea, but now I need you to put your money, we need you to put your money where your mouth is in terms of supporting that. So, well, that's very exciting. And I think that's a great segue into, as you said, and I love that you also said, choosing, right? As opposed to you saying, I'll take money from anybody, that you're also going to be thoughtful about how that you already have an amazing network and that you are also choosing a partner in terms of the fundraising. We mentioned earlier that I met you through Haven, Hayvn. At what point was Haven, the middle of your pitching journey, the end? And I'd love to hear more about like what else, your experience at the Haven Hatch or any connections from there that have been of use to you in your business journey.
Definitely. The Haven Hatch pitch, I am not going to lie, I was nervous going in because they chose such a great cohort. Everyone's businesses were excellent. Some people were so far ahead. I was like, I don't know if I stand a chance once again, that whole adversity quotient thing, right? And I was like, I'm just going to go anyway. And when I found out that I won, I was literally floored. And that money really helped put towards manufacturing. Because like I said, manufacturing products, they call it hardware, it requires a lot of upfront capital. But the good thing is you get to revenue sooner, if you want to use that term.
Yep.
Like once you sell a product, if money comes in, et cetera. So it's just that upfront capital. And if you don't have a parent that you can say, hey, just write me a check so I can start this, you kind of have to bootstrap it a little bit. So that really did help. And I had a lot of parents. That audience was like my primary target market. So I had a lot of signups, and I even had a guy who referred me to a manufacturer, which was also helpful. So Haven Hatch, there's a lot of resources in the state of Connecticut, and I'm so happy. Like I was raised here. Between SCORE, I received a grant from them, pitch competition as well. Once again, I mentioned Make Haven. If you have a university, tap in. There's so many, the SBDC, there's just so many resources, and you just have to ask. I realize people naturally want to help you, right? So you just have to ask, and they'll point you in the right direction. You just can't give up.
I love it. Well, Clovia, your story is inspiring. I have learned quite a bit just in our little bit of time talking to each other. Best of luck as you're going into your kind of preceding round. If people want to learn more about you, about Tubee, about being a smart entrepreneur, what's the best way to reach you?
You can email me, right? I just did a separate email for all things Tubee, which is Tubee, Tubee, bathtubs, BATHTUBS @gmail.com.
Perfect. We will put all those links in the show notes. Okay. I can't thank you enough for your time. I can't wait to see Tubee in the marketplace at its next level of growth and scale. And I'm thrilled that Haven brought us together. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Nancy, so much for having me. And thank you for the platform to spread the word.
Our pleasure. And that's another episode of the Haven Hubcast. If you like what you hear, please make sure you're downloaded and subscribe, and or share this podcast with a friend.
Thanks for listening to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Haven is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. Haven is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the Haven community online at haven.com. That's HAYVN.com. Haven Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.